Warning, this podcast may contain bad language, but pretty sure it doesn't. And bonus material.
You say bonus material?
Bonus? How do you say it?
Bonus.
Bonus?
Say it again.
Bonus?
Bonus.
Bonus?
Bonus.
Bonus? What do you mean?
Welcome to Seesaw Podcast with your hosts, T and Cleves.
Every week, bringing some much-needed balance and humour to brighten up what can sometimes be a dark, disabled world.
Velkommen to Seesaw! I did that in the mic check and I just felt like doing it again. Welcome, everyone, one and all. We are back with a bonus episode with the fabulous Macy Lewis. There was a lot of content and we had to cut it down because also there's a lot of spoilers about her books. So there might be some of that in here. If you haven't read her books, then please go read them. If just
what
go.
T's saying is this episode is about Macy's upcoming book. So if you want a teaser, then the next bit of this episode, well, all of this episode is going to be all Macy, all her books. So stay tuned if you want to hear what she's got coming up.
Yes, Cleves eloquently put that where I was trying to...
Roll the static.
Yeah.
For the novels, so I just literally 2 minutes before we got on here sent my first young adult novel to my to my editor, excuse me. And it is called The Island of Camry, and that is one of those ideas I came up with in college, actually. So that's really exciting. It is about three girls who are at university. Surprise, surprise. And they are, again, I kind of patterned it after Fevered Hearts. So if readers out there, if you have read Fevered Hearts, you kind of know maybe where this is going a little bit. If not, these three girls are named Rachel, Daniel, and Erica. And they are going to go to this little island in the Caribbean. It's fictional, by the way, so don't look it up. One of my beta readers tried to look it up on Google, and she's like, I can't find it. Where is it? I'm like, that's because it doesn't exist. But I'm glad you tried to look for it. That makes me feel good. So the island is called Camry, and it's a little island who is, kind of struggling economically and things. And so they go on a service thing a service trip that their university has for them. And it's rumored that on this island there's magic. And the girls are just kind of laughing about it. And they're like, well, if there is magic, it'll help us. But if there's not, we got college credit, university credit anyways. Nice. And so they go to this island and they do the service thing, and of course they meet some guys there because it's romance and they have to girl it up. So they go there, and on their last day of service, because I like to, if I'm doing a novel, I kind of like to have it be as quick as possible. I hate when they drag. So this one's, I think, a week at most. Of course, it's fiction, so we can do what we want. But so these girls on their last day, they go to this little market on the island, and they buy some souvenirs, and the whole time they're at these three souvenir tables. One lady's selling seashells, another person selling candles and incense, and then somebody else is selling wind chimes and different decorations for the outside of your house and stuff. And the whole time they're at these tables, the vendors who are selling them are saying, pick this item in particular, it'll help you. And the girls are just like, what? And so they end up buying one of them gets a seashell, one of them gets a box of incense, and the other one gets a wind chime. And the vendors have told them, these are magic and they'll help you. And the girls are just like, okay, sure. And so the items actually kind of activate for the girls when they hold them, and they're kind of like, whoa, it's kind of weird, but okay. And so they end up going on a fishing boat with these guys that they've met, and they're learning about the fishing business and stuff, and they end up so there's 5 people on this boat, and they get held hostage by a couple of bad men who basically make them do runs of like drugs and guns and different things to different islands.
Oh, it's
And
getting spicy.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So they're trapped out on this boat with these two maniacs, and they're all thinking we're gonna die out here, and like what's happening to us, and basically the magical items.
Shall we leave it as a cliffhanger there, Macy?
Yeah.
Shall we leave it as
yeah.
a cliffhanger? Because I'm interested to hear, but I also want to read the book as well. And this is your new one. You don't give away the whole book.
Exactly. That's the one for the young adults. I've never written a young adult one before. Again, it could be another cliffhanger because I don't know what my editor is going to do with it. So I could be surprised just as much as you, which is exciting.
There we go.
But the one that I'm really excited about, like super excited, is the one I was telling you about earlier, where it's actually my first blind character. This one is going to be so good. Compared to the trilogy of the Hidden Heart series that I have, there is a jump in the writing from that to this book, and I can't even describe what happened or how it happened. It just did. Maybe it was because we were writing it during the COVID lockdown. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's coming out, and it's called Weathering the Storm, and I wrote it with my friend Jim King, and it's basically about this girl named Charmaine Dorban, and she is blind, kind of like me. She kind of sees like me as well, because I wanted to, put a lot of my experiences into this book.
Yeah.
And so she has a degree in meteorology.
Nice.
At one point I thought I was going to be a meteorologist, and my parents are like, how are you going to read the maps? I don't know. But I mean, it was a good dream, right?
Yeah. Let nothing stop you.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. And so she has a degree in meteorology, and she works for MI6, because I forgot to tell you guys before we came on here, I have a thing for England. So all of my novels are based in England. London is somewhere in England or France. And so
Nice.
I like put your vocabulary in there, and I was talking to friends who live over there, and I'm like, how would you write this? How would you say this? Do you guys call this? What do you guys call this? Because it's so different, which I love.
Yeah.
So hats off to you guys over there at Pond. And so basically that one is probably my beta reader who read it was like, she's read everything. She's my aunt. Shout out, Auntie. So she actually said, she's like, this is probably the best work you've put out ever. Amazing. And I'm like, dang, that's awesome. So Charmaine is working at MI6, and I'm not giving anything away because you learn about this in the first couple chapters, so it's no big deal. So she's in MI6, and her boyfriend is out on this like steel ship in the middle of the ocean, trying to figure out what's going on with the weather around the world, because it's been really nuts. There's been like icebergs in Amazon, and like snowstorms and rainstorms and deserts, and the world's finally freaking out, going, something or someone is controlling the weather, you know, and then they're like, that's preposterous. Nobody could do that. And Charmaine, being a meteorologist, is first, she's like, that's got to be what's happening, and everybody just laughs at her. They're like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
that's not what's going on. So he's out there in the middle of the ocean, and there's this freak thunderstorm that comes out of nowhere, and a gigantic wave that sinks his ship. So he dies. And she's just going, there's got to be something behind this, like somebody's doing something, and I'm going to figure out what. And her colleagues are finally like, okay, we believe you. There's something weird going on. Well, her counterpart is a French soldier, and he, meanwhile, this is in chapter 2, so again, I'm not giving anything away. He is really, 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 really fast paced, which I love. So he, in chapter 2, he's on a helicopter with his pilot and their navigator, and they have just rescued some people from a shipwreck out in the middle of the ocean where a freak wave came and sunk one of the ships. And nobody thought it would happen, but it did. So they're all kind of like, oh, it's so sad. Like that other crew, there were 2 ships and they rescued one crew and they were going back. But by the time they got there, the second ship, which was I can't say that. Anyways, the second ship went down and they're like, oh, we couldn't rescue those people. That's so sad. So they're kind of really sad about that. And they're trying to, so the ships were in the Indian Ocean and they're flying into Australia to land. And this freak thunderstorm comes out of nowhere and there's like big red walls of sand and the pilot's going, we're gonna crash because I can't keep this copter up, and if I try, we're just gonna spin out of control, so get ready. So they crash, and the soldier, his name is Pierre, he's like, I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna make it, but obviously he does. And anyways, he agrees ultimately to work with Charmaine. She comes from MI6, goes over to France, and she meets Pierre, and they have a bit of an issue trying to figure out how do we work together, because he's never worked with someone blind, and he's got PTSD from the helicopter crash that he was in. She's got PTSD because of her boyfriend who died. And so then they have to figure out, can we work together? Because every time Pierre asks her a question, she yells at him, and then he yells at her. So they have to figure that out. And meanwhile, they are investigating some scientists and other people who are like helping them investigate. So there's this big group of people from around the world who are helping them investigate the weather. And so meanwhile, Charmaine's like, we have to investigate each one of the people on this team to see if they have anything to do with it. So it just goes through their adventures. And you'll see what happens. And I actually, so one more thing I forgot to mention, if you have read, readers out there, if you have read Fevered Hearts, Pierre is actually mentioned in that book because he rescues 2 of the characters in that book. And so Weathering the Storm, in a sense, is a prequel to Fevered Hearts, but it's a standalone novel. So I don't think there's going to be any more stories, but you never know.
Never say never.
Yeah, never say never, exactly. So that's what Jim and I have done. That should be coming out anytime. I don't have exact dates, so I can't really give you a date, but keep watching for that. And then I have to tell you about Jim and it's our next book. We are so excited. If you don't mind, am I talking too much?
I can't tell you how much I will never be able to keep in, but go for it anyway, just in case.
I know you're like, wait, who now? What book are we talking about? Don't worry, I even get confused. Okay, well, Jim told me to talk about it. He's like, mention Loma. So we wanted to, okay, so my aunt who has read everything that I've, written so far, after she read Weathering the Storm for me, she said, could you please write a book that's based in the States? Like, I love Europe, but could you please make it here in America? And I thought, okay. So basically a couple years ago, Jim and I, we like to go get Mexican food a lot. And so we went out to dinner and we started telling each other about these 2 different stories. He had one that was all action, and I had one, of course, was girled up and had romance everywhere. And as we were telling each other these storylines, Jim goes, why don't we combine them into one? I was like, okay, sure, we can do that. And so we have set it in Utah. There's a part of our state, I'm up north, but there's southern Utah, and there's really, really beautiful red rocks down there. And so we set it down there, and it's in this little town in the 1800s, so like 1860s. Because I always wanted to write a book about like the people who settled Utah, and they were the pioneers, and they settled Utah in the 1840s. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get heckled for that. Oh. So they settled it in the 1840s, and there were all these people who came across the plains and covered wagons and hand carts and things. And I kind of wanted to give a little tribute to them. So Jim and we did a lot of research, as much as we could. My aunt and I, we have a little monument to these pioneers who settled, and so we went up there and looked at the houses and talked to the people who worked there, the volunteers that worked there, and tried to learn as much as we could of real information about them and what their lives were like. Meanwhile, Jim and I are free writing this, kind of figuring out, okay, what things can we put into this book and how do we want it to look a little, and it was a mess. It was fun, but it was a mess. We were just bouncing around, and it was fun, but it was crazy. So after I got the information about the pioneers, we put it in, and then we just there were some things going on in my life that I kind of had to work through, and Jim was like, well, why don't you put some of those emotions in the book? And I was going, that's a terrible idea. And he goes, no, I think it'll be really great and it'll help you. And I was like, okay. He goes, just sleep on it and then tell me what you think in the morning. Because Jim and I, he's basically known me since I was born. He's my parents' friend, so he's known my family forever. So I was like, okay. So I slept on it, and I just was like, you know what? Okay. So we put some of those emotions in there, wrote some scenes, and basically where we're at with that is we have not even finished the first draft because life kind of just got in the way and we set it aside. But our goal is to at least get the first draft finished in the next couple of months, we hope. And what's fun about this book, so I love like with the Hidden Hearts series trilogy, I love to put languages and different vocabulary words and things in the book. And so like Weathering the Storm has French because Pierre's French. Well, Loma is Spanish. So that's been kind of fun to learn some of the words. I'm better at French because I took it in school, but I'm obviously not fluent by any means. So it's been kind of fun to work on the Spanish, and then just have, we're working with, like Native Americans and the issues that this little town would have with them. And it's just really been fun to kind of go back to a really organic, I guess, route where it's not all, we don't have the smartphones and the technologies and things to kind of go back there and be like, I wonder what this would be like if we imagined it, and from our perspective. And so we're really excited about that.
Amazing. Awesome. There's so much in the works.
It hurts my head.
But you keep it busy, and there's so much to keep you going there. And it sounds like there's always something else like popping out of your mind here and there.
It's true, and it drives me crazy. It's good, but it's like, I think I'm good, I can take a break. Nope. Here's this.
Stiff whiskey and a good night's sleep. That helps.
Okay.
But I think what we'll do is we'll definitely get you back. I think when your next book, when Weathering the Storm comes out, we'll have to get you come on and do a promo. And I think Cleese will have to do some editing on this so to cut out some of the spoilers, because we don't want to give away the book. I
get so excited. I can't stop. I'm like, and then this happened, and this happened, and like, whoops, shouldn't have said.
But I was sitting there thinking, I want to read this. Don't say any more. But
well, let's just say it deals with their spy stuff in there too. I won't say any more. You're like, stop talking.
Well, Macy, it's been amazing having you on. It's been such a pleasure to talk through things with you, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a good couple of episodes out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. I'm sorry I talk way too much.
No, not at all. It's been really interesting to have you on, and like I said, we'll get you back down the line because do what we can to help you out, and I'll give you books to read.
Really appreciate it, guys. You're awesome.
All right. Thanks for having you.
Thanks, Macy.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Hey.